Hello, friends. Welcome to .org, the podcast all about how nonprofits tell their stories. I'm Matt Pearl. I was a broadcast journalist locally and nationally for 20 years. Now I run Pearl Impact Media. I help nonprofits and purpose-driven businesses raise money, raise awareness, and distinguish themselves from the rest through meaningful, memorable, and affordable video storytelling. That's my mission, and an offshoot of that mission is this podcast. Each episode, I chat with a nonprofit leader with a defined, thoughtful, and successful approach to telling their organization's story. Except for this episode. This is episode 10. It's a milestone episode, double digits, and in each of the first 9, I can tell you how I felt when I finished recording it, when I finished listening to it. I felt invigorated, ready to get out there and do what I love for this space. What I love is crafting impactful videos for nonprofits. For you, in the nonprofit space, it could be any number of things related to your mission. But I knew that I felt invigorated. I felt thankful for all of the nuggets of insight provided by our guests. And I wanted to try to capture that in this episode by mining those insights, specifically those about video. So we're switching it up a little bit. No guest today, it's just me, and I'll be going through 10 lessons from 10 episodes of .org about nonprofit storytelling through video. We all know video can be complicated, it can be challenging, it can be intimidating. And that's just doing one video, let alone building a strategy around it. But not only is it possible to fundraise and raise awareness through video, I would say it's essential for long-term growth for any organization or small business. So that's the topic today, 10 lessons from 10 episodes. Let's go. Number 1, storytelling is an investment. Be willing to make it. This came up right in our first episode with Brent Pease. He's the co-founder and executive director of the Kyle Pease Foundation. They've been around a decade, and video has always been a part of their strategy. They've had documentary crews follow them. They've received tens of thousands of grant dollars for video projects. But before all that, they started small and they knew their story, and they knew that investing in storytelling was worth it. Now, the Kyle Pease Foundation serves individuals with disabilities largely through enabling them to compete in endurance races in a variety of ways. They knew what they wanted to accomplish with video, right? Building awareness, community buy-in, and ultimately funding and support for their work. But back in 2011, before they got as big as they are today, they still knew where their best audience would be, and that was Facebook. Now, Facebook might not be the approach you take in 2025. Now it might be Instagram Reels, TikTok, direct email marketing. But the point is, they knew who they were trying to reach and how they wanted to reach them. You can do the same. Know who you're trying to reach, know how you want to reach them, and then just start. That's what Brent and his team did. That's what so many small nonprofits do. They use video in modest ways, but they focus on who they're trying to reach and how they want those people to respond after seeing their videos. You need to make the investments early because there's a good chance the investments will pay off. Tip number 2, think about building a library. So this goes along with the first insight, and it's another strategic shift around how many people in the nonprofit space view video. Now, it came up in our episode with Andreas Karelis. He is the executive director of the clean energy nonprofit Revolve. They have embedded storytelling into their mission and culture. Every time they do something big, which in their case means enabling a school or a church to go solar, they document it, and almost always with video. Why does this help? Because ultimately, they are building a library. A prospective client or funder can look back at years of consistent video storytelling that shows that A, Revolve is legit, B, they've been around a good while, and C, they are worth contacting and working with. These first 2 tips are so important because before we dive into the technical side of video, we need to establish why video is worth it in the first place. And that question comes up a lot in plenty of nonprofit staff or board meetings, right? Video is so worth it, but you have to convince people a lot of the time. But not only is video worth it, it is the kind of worth it that grows the more you do it. So think about building that library. Number 3, Lead with authenticity, not perfection. Lesson 3 from episode 3 with Jeronica Hartz of Purpose Built Schools Atlanta. I worked with Purpose Built on an impact video, and now it graces the front of their website. The snippets from those videos were among the most liked of their school year. And the reason is we focused on authenticity. With more polished videos like the ones that I make, it's so important to find individuals and moments to spotlight that don't feel staged or sterile, because polish can often be mistaken for sterility. But let's not talk about that right now. Let's talk about those DIY videos that you can just do on your own to build up that library. Often a cell phone is really all you need, and there are ways to make those videos look a little stronger or higher quality, but ultimately people respond to real. You shouldn't need to plan on doing 100 takes to get the right result. The best videos often come much more naturally. They capture natural moments, and it can just be about spotting those moments. Number 4, empower the storytellers all around you. Our 4th episode featured an interview with Lydia Story. She works with the caregiving advocacy group Caring Across Generations, and they are intentional about enabling caregivers, often people not naturally inclined to get in front of a camera, to become storytellers. Now, Caring Across Generations doesn't force anyone to do this. It is a service that they offer because with caregiving specifically, it is so important for caregivers to be their own loudest advocates. But oftentimes for nonprofits, it's as easy as just putting out a call to those that you serve to see if people want to share their stories in a comfortable way. This shouldn't feel exploitive. In fact, often it's the opposite. When given the chance, you'll find people who are enthusiastic to shout you out and tell the world about the difference that you've made in their lives. Remember, we're talking about building a library here, and video is versatile. It exists in many forms. It can be used in many ways. The storytellers for your organization don't always need to come from within your team. That's lesson number 4. Number 5, be willing to try it all in the name of the mission. So I just said it, video is versatile. And when I interviewed Bethany Wiggin of My Climate Story, this was back in episode 5, she spoke about the seemingly infinite number of ways climate storytellers are making their voices heard. Now, this is all great, and the important thing is that all of that storytelling ties back to the larger mission of climate awareness. The hope for Wiggin is that these many individual voices will create a massive collective voice about protecting our environment and our world. But just like it's important to open your video storytelling gates to any who wish to support you, it is the same with video styles. Some can be formal, some can be less so. Some can be animated, some can be look into the camera testimonials. You can look for other organizations for inspiration. Just be willing to try and be willing to experiment, and you may be surprised with what hits. Number 6, don't just build a library, manage it like one. Zach Toombs is the founder of Evident Media, and we interviewed him in episode 6. I loved the approach that he spoke about to how Evident approaches their long-form projects, because that's their main bread and butter. They produce long-form video projects like documentary shorts. But within these massive projects are short clips, bonus sound bites, cuts made directly for social. And when Evident rolls out a larger project, they use all these additional components to extend the shelf life of their larger project and build momentum around it. Similarly, if you keep track of the videos you have, you'll find so many different ways to use them. In fact, that's the thing I hear most often from my clients after I deliver an impact video to them. They say, I find ways to use this video. We love this video so much, we figure out ways to get it involved in our storytelling and in our marketing and in our fundraising. Sometimes it's as simple as, hey, we produced a reel recapping our signature event last year. Let's post it again to promote this year's event, right? It can be that simple. You just have to recognize those opportunities, and that's part of the value of building a library. It opens up those opportunities. Consistency is important with any kind of storytelling presence, but you don't have to invent a new piece of content every time. You can remix, you can repurpose, you can make the most of the library you're building. Number 7, scale within your means. Ralph Jean oversees storytelling efforts for Resource Rural. Now, he spoke about how to operate within your means as a storytelling entity. Now, Resource Rural, they hire storytellers all around the country to tell spotlight stories about community building efforts in rural America. This requires a budget, but he is careful with it. And that applies to all of us working within nonprofit spaces. No matter how big or small we are, there will always be budgetary limits. It's important to identify yours, and that way you'll know where and when you might be able to use that budget, specifically to hire outside help. And by the way, scaling within your means doesn't just apply to money, it applies to time. Because if you're not hiring someone, you're requiring people on your team to add another responsibility, right? Now they've got to focus on video too. That's another skill set that they've got to add to their portfolio and time they've got to take out to work on that. So the point is, be realistic about what you can accomplish and work within those limitations rather than just not starting and not doing it altogether. Number 8, leverage your partners. This came from Lasima Turman with the Community Foundation for the Central Savannah River area. They're out in Augusta, Georgia. Her whole role is about creating a nonprofit community that is greater than the sum of its members, and that absolutely relates to video. So what does that look like? Well, maybe multiple organizations in a similar space go in on a video project together. Maybe you collaborate on an Instagram reel together. And by the way, that is an especially powerful way to build and expand your audience. So often, nonprofits operate in silos, and sometimes that's necessary, but it's way easier sometimes to find partners, people and other organizations you can invest in and can invest in you. Video is a great way to do this. Number 9, always start with your why. My most recent interview was with Casey Keppel, Associate Director for the Pink Agenda. She gave a 3-minute masterclass about how she approaches video, and I totally recommend just listening to that directly. Go back to episode 9 and find that section early on in the podcast where she goes through her strategy. But the main upshot with any kind of video, know why you're doing it. And I actually think this can be incredibly clarifying for those who are intimidated by video, right? Video can be so many things. So how do you know where to start? How do you know what you should do? I think it's the basics. What are you trying to achieve? Who are you trying to reach? And what might they respond to? Again, be open to trying anything. But when it comes to narrowing things down, starting with the why is the most surefire way to approach it. So great lesson there. Great interview with Casey Keppel. Be sure you check that out. And finally, lesson number 10, don't judge based on the short term. This one comes straight from me. Video is a long-term strategy. It is the kind of thing that builds and compounds the more you do it. This applies to nearly every usage of it, but hopefully you're seeing the many ways this can apply, right? Do a video now, you'll probably be able to use it in a larger project down the road. Post a video that goes viral on social media and your other videos will pop up more in people's feeds. Ultimately, video is such a powerful storytelling format because when done right, it takes people inside your walls and it shows people, not tells them, shows them what you do and why it's essential. It is the best way to separate yourself and build emotional buy-in. But it's not often an overnight transformation. The nonprofits who invest in video long-term develop larger audiences, more engaged audiences. They see the payoff. But you can't give up early. You got to stay the course. That's it. 10 tips about nonprofit video storytelling from 10 episodes of .org. Now, if you found this helpful and want others to hear it too, a great rating or review wherever you get your podcasts goes a long way. Please take the time if you can. And check out my work at Pearl Impact Media. Video storytelling can be so beneficial for organizations. I would love to work with yours. Book a free consultation right now at pearlimpactmedia.com. All right, friends, I am Matt Pearl. Thank you for listening to .org. See you next time.